Jordan Litz, and I'm giving an informative speech today on the Hobbit, with the hope to inform you all of the theme of hospitality in the Hobbit. My question is, how many of you have experienced personally hospitality, and what would you constitute as having been good or bad? Well, I would like to say that hospitality is a theme overlooked in The Hobbit. And in fact, my thesis today is that The Hobbit is a book very concerned with hospitality. Now, why should you listen to me? Well, first, God cares about hospitality, especially for those aspiring to be elders. And second, I personally have read The Hobbit many times and am known for hospitality. So in preview of my points here today, I want to first inform you guys about the book itself, and secondly, to inform you about the different moments of hospitality that takes place throughout the story. So first, concerning the book itself. Written by J.R.R. Tolkien and originally published in 1937, according to the Tolkien Society, an educational and literary society dedicated to the study of all things Tolkien, The Hobbit was originally a story that Tolkien told to his own children before it was published. Some of the main characters are Bilbo, Gandalf, and Thorin, Bilbo being the Hobbit, Gandalf being a wizard, and Thorin being the leader of the Dwarven clan, who are on a journey to take back their homeland that was wrongfully stolen from them. Well, now that we have an overview of the story, let's look at some particular scenes that deal with the theme of hospitality. First, we start with Bilbo, the main character. He is considered inhospitable at the beginning of the story, and the reason is that he doesn't really welcome the dwarves into his home. He's not generous with his food and drink, and he displays an overall sorry attitude. Next, we see the mountain giants. They too are inhospitable because they try to steal the horses of Bilbo and his friends, and they try to eat them. Next, we move into the story of Elrond and the elves at Rivendell. They are indeed hospitable. It says that Elrond's house was perfect. Whether you liked food or sleep or work, storytelling, singing, or just sitting and thinking best, evil things did not come into that valley. It goes on to say that their clothes, meaning the dwarves, were mended, and as well as their bruises, their tempers, and their hopes. Their bags were filled with food and the provisions light to carry, but strong to bring them over the mountain passes. So in sum, the elves of Rivendell helped the dwarves in their journey. Next, we move on to the mountain goblins. They are inhospitable because they stripped the dwarves of everything that they had at that point, and they threatened to kill them. Next, we see Beorn, a skin changer, a bear and a man, who is both inhospitable and hospitable. First, he initially threatens their safety by devouring them, but then he redeems himself by providing them with shelter, food, and safe passage into Mirkwood. Next, we see the wood elves. They are inhospitable, and this is clearly seen in the films themselves, The Hobbit, directed by Peter Jackson. And the reason is that they take the dwarves as prisoners, wrongfully so. Next, after their timely escape from the wood elves, the people of Lake Town is where our friends find themselves next. They, the people of Lake Town, are considered hospitable because they provide the dwarves with passage and weapons to the lonely mountain. Finally, we see our last character who displays his inhospitality, and that is the dragon Smaug himself. He tries to kill the dwarves by incinerating them and devouring them. Well, what might have been had it not been for the theme of hospitality? Well, author of the Silmarillion's Guide and creator of the Tea with Tolkien website, Caitlin Facista, recounts the effect of the hospitality when she says, "In The Hobbit, Bilbo and the dwarves would have been weary and lost if Elrond had not offered them his advice along with a place to rest before sending them on their way. They were rescued by eagles, guided by Beorn, and aided by many from Lake Town, comforted and sustained by friendship and a selfless sort of helpfulness." Now, how does the story wrap up? Well, it wraps up with Bilbo himself again. But now he is hospitable. And the reason is that he says the dwarves they're welcome anytime to his home, and they don't even have to knock. Now, this is the one who was not fond of people stopping by at a moment's notice. In support of this, scholar in ancient Greek literature and professor at Leiden University, Hamish Williams shows the prevalence of hospitality as seen in the change of Bilbo. He says, "At the beginning of the story, the Hobbit Bilbo Baggins is an ambivalent host, content to open his doors only to those individuals who will not threaten to disrupt or remove him from the comfort of his own paradise-like home, Bag End." He then goes on to prove the change in Bilbo when he says, The lesson is, at any rate, well learnt by Bilbo in particular, whose home at the end of the story is open to all such folk as ever passed that way. Now in review, I first discussed The Hobbit as a book and its overall story. And second, I discussed various scenes that display hospitality in the story. My thesis, again, is The Hobbit is a book very concerned with hospitality. And in conclusion, remember that hospitality is the very thing that ushers the story along. And if it weren't for all those different scenes or moments of hospitality, then Bilbo and his friends may not have ever made it to the mountain in the first place. Thank you.